I'm Steph Morris, and this is my 10-minute guide into everything that you need to know to complete the Everest Base Camp trek.
Every step so tough. This is unbelievable.
And this is where you'll most likely start, in the crazy capital, Kathmandu.
Kathmandu is quite a big city, with a population of 1.4 million. It's colourful, chaotic and brilliant, so make sure to leave a couple of days to explore the city either side of your trek. Some amazing sights to see include the Monkey Temple, Durbar Square and the Burning Ghats. And the main hub for backpackers and trekkers is Tamil. This is where we stayed. Here there's loads of good restaurants and backpacking bars, so it's a good place to meet people. And also, there's loads of cheap hiking gear on offer. This is where you want to buy a new jacket or hire a sleeping bag for your trek like we did.
So, firstly, what do you need to bring with you to do the trek?
Here's a list of everything that you need to bring. Our weight limits were 10 kilograms for our big bags and 5 kilograms for our day packs. This can be different with different companies, or if you're on your own, you'll have to bring everything yourself. Some very useful things that I brought included my lightweight trail shoes, but boots with ankle support might be better for you, a featherweight jacket to keep me cool but still protect me from the sun and wind, and this sun hat, which I got in KTM for £5. A sleeping bag is mandatory because some of the tea houses can get very cold. These can be rented in Kathmandu if you don't want to buy one just for this trip. Make sure to bring paracetamol and tablets to help an upset stomach. And when packing, make sure to bring only the things that you know you'll need.
What time of year should you visit?
The peak season for Everest Base Camp is February to May and October to December. This is when the skies are most clear and the nights aren't too cold. But this is when the trail is at its busiest, especially in the spring when the climbing season is on. The winter offers amazing snowy scenery, but it can be extremely cold. And the summer months are wet because of the monsoon, but the trail is really lush and green. I went at mid-September when the monsoon was coming to an end. I was a bit worried because there was a lot of rain in Kathmandu. However, on the trek we had amazing weather and hardly any crowds. But another worry we had was flying to Lukla, because the weather here can be very temperamental. Because of the weather, we had our flight delayed by several hours, but some people had their flight delayed by days or even had to use helicopters. The end of September is probably a perfect window to do base camp, because of the clear skies and less crowds. However, you will be risking your flight to Lukla.
We're just hoping that the plane can come back and take us there.
Guides versus solo.
I did this trek with a guided group with a company called Intrepid. This meant that our permits and accommodation were taken care of, as well as our safety, as we had regular oxygen tests and our guides were experienced in understanding the signs of AMS. Our guides were also great in knowing where, what and what not to eat, and knew everything about the area, so all our questions were answered, which meant we learnt loads about the landscape and the culture. The trade-off for doing the trek on your own is you'll have more freedom. This means you can spend more time or less time where you like. Doing it solo can also be less expensive, but you will need to do more research into permits and accommodation. Personally, doing the trek with guides meant all I had to do was focus on enjoying, and I could enjoy the whole experience hassle-free.
This is unbelievable.
Fitness.
The trail itself from Lukla to base camp isn't too challenging. There are steep inclines in some areas, but a lot of it is gradual. Having said that, you will be hiking from 6 to 7 hours a day for the majority of the days, so it's important to be relatively fit to be able to do the trek comfortably. You can stop as much times as you need to, so I wouldn't worry too much, but mixed with the altitude and sleep deprivation, a 7-hour hike can be quite tough going, so don't underestimate it.
Struggling today.
Before going, I try to run and swim a couple times a week and do some hiking, in order not to have any cardio issues. Overall, I was fine, but one thing I couldn't train for leads me to my next point.
The altitude and diamox.
You can start to feel the effects of altitude after 2,500 metres, which is just under the height of Lukla. So it's important to keep an eye out for AMS symptoms, which can lead to more severe illnesses if they get worse. If you have a guide, make sure to tell them if you have the following symptoms: headaches, sickness, dizziness, and loss of appetite. It's tough to train for the altitude, but there are things you can do on the trek to help you avoid AMS. Like drinking at least 4 litres of water a day, taking the hike super slow and steady, and keep yourself eating and full of energy. Something you can take as well is Diamox, but speak to a doctor and your guide before doing so. For me personally, I think it helped. I started taking 250 milligrams a day after Namche Bazaar, with only pins and needles in my hands as side effects. But it might not work for everyone. The most important thing is don't let all of this stress you out. Just drink loads of water, take it slow, and you'll be fine.
Accommodation and tea houses.
The main accommodation throughout the trek to base camp are tea houses. They're basic but comfortable. The ones I stayed at were fairly clean and had everything we needed, from hot showers, charging points and food. They all had comfy beds as well, but in the nights it did get cold, so this is why it's important to have a sleeping bag. Most of them also had lounges with fires, so it was nice to spend our evenings here, playing cards and meeting other hikers. The toilet facilities varied as well. Some were like the style we have in the UK, and others were this type. I'd also recommend bringing your own toilet roll to save you buying it, and also hand sanitizer in case there's no soap by the sinks.
Food and drink on the trail.
There's nothing to worry about with the food on a trek. The tea houses have a wide range of meals from veggie noodles to pizza and chips. The price of food increases the further up you go, but even in Gorak Shep you can still get a full meal of noodles or dal bhat for around 600 rupees. A good rule is not to eat any meat past Namche Bazaar, as the meat isn't well preserved further up the trail. But if you have a guide, make sure to check with them. You have to bring a purification method for drinking water, either a straw, chlorine drops, or like we brought, purification tablets, which were like £2 on Amazon for 100 tablets, and also 2 1-litre bottles. Just drop 1 tablet into 1 litre of tap water, wait half an hour and then drink it. This saved us loads of money and we used less plastic, and we had no stomach issues at all. Try and drink from 4 to 6 litres of water a day, and there's loads of restaurants and places to get snacks on the trail, so going hungry is not an issue, trust me.
Charging and Wi-Fi.
Most tea houses have power to charge things and Wi-Fi, just be prepared to pay. Like most things on the trek, the further up you are, the more expensive it'll be. A good tip is to invest in a power bank for your trip, because it'll save you money and it's more convenient. The Wi-Fi was also more expensive the further up you got, but to be honest, I found going a while without the Wi-Fi was actually a really nice experience.
Cash and tips.
I was spending from 3 to 4,500 rupees a day, and I took around 50,000 rupees with me on the trek, which was more than enough for me. But everyone spends their money differently, so if you know you're going to want more Wi-Fi, Western food and snacks, then maybe bring a little bit more. Nepal is a cash country, especially up the mountains, so make sure you get your rupees in Kathmandu, either from an ATM or change your cash to avoid the ATM fee. I also had $500 on me in case of an emergency. Luckily I didn't need to use it, but I did use it for the tips to the guides. This isn't mandatory, but they do such a good job and work so hard that it's definitely deserved. Emergency cash is also important in case you need a helicopter, which can be $500 upwards, but you can pay by card for these.
The different weather.
Although the majority of our trip was clear skies and dry, we did experience all types of different weather, so it's important to be prepared. The sun can get very hot and the UV index is higher as the air gets thinner, so protect your skin and wear high SPF sunscreen.
It is hot now.
Keep layers in your day pack as the temperature can change quickly when you hike.
Temperatures significantly dropped.
And carry a waterproof coat with you at all times in case of rain. Up at 5,000 meters we also had snow, so make sure you have warm clothes to put on as you get higher up. Especially gloves if you're using a camera.
And here's some bonus tips for photographers and video makers and carrying camera gear on the trek.
Number 1, take your camera out of your bag at the airport before your flight to Lukla, especially if you're close to the weight limit. Number 2, only pay for 1 charge but get 2 batteries done with multi-chargers, and bring spare batteries. Number 3, if you have a zoom lens like a 24-70, just bring that. Switching lenses constantly, especially after 4,500 meters, is a pain, and it'll save weight. Number 4, have a waterproof shell and a dry sack in your bag for 3 layers of protection against the weather. And number 5, bring loads of memory cards. This trek is one of the most beautiful in the world, so you'll be flying through them.
And my last tip, just enjoy. It's the most memorable, spectacular, amazing experience that you could ever do.
And I hope you found this guide to completing Everest Base Camp useful and you enjoyed. And if you have any questions, then make sure you comment them below. And if you want to see more travel content, including more guides and travel vlogs, then make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.